Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by Hiscox. Go to hiscoxusa.com/smallbiz for your business insurance needs. And by GoToMeeting. Sign up for GoToMeeting today by using promo code START to begin your free trial.
Today on This Week in Startups, we have the founder of Adly. That's the celebrity social advertising network based here in Los Angeles. We've got Tyler Crowley with some insights, and we've got an Ask Jason from one of the TWiST producers. Stick with us.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah, money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah, we ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
And hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to This Week in Startups. I am your host, Jason Calacanis. I am a serial entrepreneur with a C. Captain Crunch, Fruity Pebbles, all those good things. No, I'm a serial entrepreneur. For some insane reason, I'm a masochist like many of you, and I go to work every day and just try to change the world. Most days I get my ass kicked. Some days I feel like I'm just like a superhero or like Zeus or something. But then 9 out of 10 days, Tyler, I feel like I'm just getting my ass kicked.
Do you like that feeling?
I do, actually. I do. I do. I'm a masochist, and I'm gonna talk a little weird. My smile's gonna be a little weird today because I just went to the dentist and I got a little bit of that going. Hey, if you would like to be a producer of the show and get on the email list that we run, where Tyler, myself, Lon, the producers all talk about the show, what guests we're gonna have on, where the show's going, and just sort of generally talk about startup advice. You can do that for as low as a couple of bucks a month, like less than the cost of a Starbucks. Go to twistlist.co. There are 3 new levels: Superfan, $10 a month; Fan, $5 a month; and Broke-Ass Fan, $2 a month. And it's just a lot of fun. And then whenever I have an event, I always invite a bunch of the TWiST List producers to come with me. You'll go see all the benefits at twistlist.co. Hey, we're going to have a great show today. Arnie Gullov-Singh is with us. You are the co-founder, I think, or founder?
I'm the CEO, not the founder.
Not the founder. You're CEO of Adly.
That's right.
Which is the ad network that represents people like?
So 1,000 celebrities, biggest names in social media, from musicians,
Top
athletes.
3 in terms of followers?
Gosh, go to our site, adly.com, click on celebrities. There's a whole list.
It's everybody. Kim Kardashian.
It's a lot of them.
The crazy guy who was doing a bunch of drugs, but now 2.5 Men guy. What's his name, Tyler? Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen. Yeah.
Charlie Sheen, famously, you sold a huge tweet for. I'm really fascinated to hear about the modernization of the social feeds today on the program. One thing I want to let people know is that GoToMeeting is the easiest way to hold unlimited meetings for one flat fee. You ever do a GoToMeeting?
Yeah.
Works brilliantly?
Oh, it's phenomenal.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very good.
Did you know that they're going to have an HD video conferencing feature?
I did not know that.
Yes, it's called HD Faces, and it is killer. I've used it. It is the crispest, cleanest HD video I've ever done, point to point on the internet. And hey, there's a reason. It's a paid product, so they give you all this dedicated bandwidth and all this great stable software and customer support like you wouldn't believe, because it's serious business to do a meeting online. There might be thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars on the line, and that's why I use it for all my video conferencing. The video quality is crystal clear, and I wouldn't say that if it wasn't true. As you know, I've kicked sponsors off the program for screwing up their products. GoToMeeting is not one of those people. GoToMeeting's product is flawless. You're going to love it. Tyler uses it. I use it. Lon uses it. And we're using it now for the remote guests, actually. We're having them start to call in on HD Faces, and we've been testing it, and it looks gorgeous. It's also easy. All you need is an internet connection and a webcam. And I suggest they have a 1080p webcam from Logitech now. That is like $80 or something, $70. It looks unbelievable. It looks like you're in the studio at CNN. Head over to GoToMeeting and use the promo code START for your 30-day trial. An independent media like this, 177 episodes in, would not be possible without the amazing, amazing support of people like GoToMeeting. GoToMeeting. Use the promo code START and go thank them on Twitter. They love when you do that. Say thank you at GoToMeeting, and thank them on Facebook, and thank them on your Google+. Thank you, GoToMeeting. Hey, Arnie, I have been watching Adly for a long time, and I was always fascinated by it. I hated pay per post because I felt like that had disclosure problems, right? That was the core issue I had. But when I saw what you were doing with celebrities, I felt like you were doing it in a classier way with more disclosure. Explain to me the difference between, say, covert operations, doing this sort of pay-per-post slimy stuff, and what you do.
Well, I think the key kind of trend that we're tapping into is the convergence of editorial and advertising. I mean, if you look at your show, you've got a great integrated campaign for GoToMeeting, and I think every week you do this because at the end of the day, consumers are engaged by the content. And when you look at social media, the problem with social media is the content's so good, traditional advertising just doesn't perform. If you look at Facebook, click-through rates keep going down every year. I was at MySpace for 4 years, click-through rates kept going down there. It's no fault of technology. It's just that the content keeps getting better and better. And so at Adly, our vision was always about how do we monetize that content. And we didn't start out to be a celebrity network. We started out just trying to find results for marketers in the stream. And where we ended up was with celebrities simply because they have the most distribution. They have millions and millions of people following them. I think there's about, in our network alone, over 100 celebrities with over 1 million followers. And you compare that to brands, I think there's about 2 brands on Twitter, period, with over 1 million followers. So celebrities just have a tremendous amount of reach. And so when we looked at an ad product that would work, we felt it was very important to have disclosure.
Yeah.
And so we looked at the constraints of 140 characters, and there's not a lot of space. You can't say disclosure and like a radio ad where there's this guy speaking really fast at the end with a disclosure. So we said let's just say it's an ad, and let's put hashtag ad or bracket ad or hashtag promoted, or I'm working with brand X to tell you about product Y.
So just say it in plain English.
Yeah.
Like I do on my program.
Exactly. I mean, that was a great endorsement you just gave of GoToMeeting.
Right.
I think all the viewers understood that that was a paid promotion.
Yes.
But you use the product, you really like it. I use the product, a lot of people use the product. And it's the same thing with endorsements on Twitter. Celebrities are not going to endorse products that they don't use in real life.
Is that actually true? Because I am that way, and I feel like I've never really done any ads on my Twitter stream, except for things that I'm doing. So inherently, if you're following me, or you're following Ashton Kutcher or Charlie Sheen, and they tweet about their new movie or their new book or whatever their new thing is, in a way it's an ad, but in a way it's what they do. So there's no sort of conflict there. But you're saying, in your experience, they won't take on an advertiser unless they want to be associated with it. Absolutely.
I mean, the convergence of advertising and editorial, is kind of, I think, a hot spot for the journalism, for the publishing business, but it's also for celebrities. If you're putting a stream post in your own words about a product that you're endorsing, you're not going to endorse something you don't like. And we find that around 20% of the time when we do have endorsement deals, celebrities will not want to do them. So.
Oh, really? 1 out of 5 will say, you know what? I don't want to do the electronic cigarette.
Yeah.
Have you had the electronic cigarette people come? Because they tried to sponsor me.
We have had them approach us, yeah.
Has anybody done it?
No.
You're telling me Lindsay Lohan's father would not do electric cigarettes? That guy would sell anything. Is he part of your network?
I'm not sure.
I think he's going to do Squeal. Lindsay Lohan's dad for Squeal. No, I got approached by the e-cigarette people, and they were like, we'll give you $10,000 to do this. We'll pay for your poker buy-in for that. And I was just like, I would never encourage somebody to use this product. And if I saw somebody using it, I would say, are you stupid for sucking nicotine into your body, like mainlining it? That sounds extremely dangerous.
It's got to be authentic, right? It's got to be authentic, organic.
Yeah.
You got to feel comfortable with it.
But let's talk about, you brought up journalism in there.
Yeah.
And celebrity. And now there's a blurring line between, hey, David Pogue, New York Times writer, who writes he's got massive conflicts that you probably have read about. He writes the series, the Forgotten Manual series, then he reviews the products, that he writes those books about. He does these cruises, all this kind of stuff. And he's a huge Apple fanboy. And he writes for the New York Times and is the biggest vocal technology critic there. And they've had a huge problem with that. Have you gotten any journalists, a Walt Mossberg, a Kara Swisher, or any notable journalists to join the Adly network?
We actually haven't approached any of them. I don't know why. It seems like it would be an interesting fit. I think it's inevitable that as much as advertising and editorial are converging, so are editorial and commerce. I mean, you look at flash sale sites using a lot more content now. You look at pretty much every fashion site has a shop the look kind of feature with affiliate links. Like these lines are really blurring.
But in shopping, the expectation is low. If I'm shopping and somebody's endorsing something, you're just like, oh, it's a Gap ad. But a journalist or a newscaster or perhaps the host of a talk show, it starts to feel like, wait a second, is this person, should this person be endorsing?
I think.
But you don't care about the journalist. Is that sort of what you're saying?
Well, I think the key is you're looking for. We're always looking for people on Twitter who reach a large audience, who sort of mainstream advertisers are going to want to reach. And so if you want to reach mums on Twitter, we have a 25, 30 celebrity mums that reach mums. I don't know sort of how much demand there is for the audience that some of these tech journalists reach.
Yeah. Well, so what about, I see you have Newsweek, TechCrunch, and Life magazine in there. How does that work? Is that just TechCrunch Mike joking around? Have they actually done sponsored tweets? Does Newsweek and Life do sponsored tweets?
Yeah, so early on in the life of the company, we had some interest from publishing brands. And we ran some tests, and we found just the engagement against publishing brands was order of magnitude lower than against people.
Of course.
And I think that's just, a year or so ago, publishers were using Twitter much like an RSS feed, just pumping out content.
Right.
Some of the savvier publishers have switched now to having real people behind those accounts, and the engagement rates have gone up. But net, consumers are following people more than they're following brands. And consumers, and the people with the most scale are celebrities, and they still command most of the engagement.
Huh. And so what does it cost on a CPM basis, a cost per click basis, for this ad versus a pre-roll on YouTube, a cost per click on a Google search? Where does it fit in that spectrum in terms of cost?
Yeah, so we designed it, so just to sort of explain how the business works, it's a flat cost per tweet pricing model right now. Right. And we built an algorithm that essentially backs that price per tweet into $1 to $2 per click range. The reason we did that is we looked at sort of substitutes for digital marketers, and we felt like $1 to $2 a click was competitive for social media, especially when you have the implied endorsement of a celebrity.
Why is it, so there is the, sorry, I was just looking at this, we had Bindu from My Likes on. I don't know if you saw that episode, but Bindu is the founder of My Likes. They charge per click, and they let anybody into the network, and it feels like a sort of a more open version of Adly. How do you pick who gets to join Adly? Do you look at each one? Do you have to apply?
Yeah, so we built a platform that basically tracks everyone on Twitter who has over 10,000 followers. And the reason we picked that was it was an arbitrary level, but we said, at the end of the day, we want people with scale. And so we monitor everyone on Twitter in terms of what they're saying and the kind of engagement they're getting. And our platform identifies people that have high engagement. And then we approach them about joining the network, and some of them want to do it and some of them don't. And just like in the real world, not every celebrity will do a television endorsement. Right. It's the same thing in social media.
So what is the cost? What is the most somebody's gotten for a tweet? I heard that Charlie Sheen got hundreds of thousands of dollars for his tweet. I think he said to the public he got hundreds of thousands of dollars. Is that true?
As far as I know, no one's received $100,000 for a tweet, but certainly there have been campaigns in the low six figures across a number of celebrities, and there are a number of celebrities who can get the low five figures to mid five figures for a single tweet. Wow. It's all based. It's because they can drive traffic. Right. People who are famous in real life are famous on Twitter, and they have scale. And when you have 4 or 5 million followers and they're really engaged with you, they're going to click on everything you post.
Now, we've seen a definitive trend of click-through rate on Twitter going down. I hear two theories. One is, and I've heard this from folks on the inside, Twitter can't distribute a tweet from somebody with 1 million followers to everybody else's feed in time, and by the time it gets into their feed has already passed. Have you experienced this over time? Twitter can't keep up in real time?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely think that tweets don't get to every single follower. I mean, there's just a basic frequency sort of curve issue there where on the internet you have very heavy users and you have very light users. So if you look at someone's 1 million followers, maybe 10% of them will do half of the page views, and 10% of them will do, 50% will do none of the page views. So, so there's that frequency curve issue. But we definitely think that a tweet from a celebrity reaches 10 to 15% of the followers at most right now. There's a limitation of Twitter.
They see 10% of it, and then of that you get a 1% click-through maybe.
Yeah.
1% of the 10%, so 0.1%, 0.2% of the overall Twitter follower number.
Yeah, across the overall Twitter follower number, yeah. So if you look at the actual number of people who see it, it's probably like a 5 to 10% click-through rate, which is pretty impressive compared to other types of media.
Yeah, I mean, I have 100,000 followers, and when I started on Twitter, let's say under 25,000 followers, I used to get 1% of the overall number would click. So maybe when I had 20,000 people, I could have 2,000 people follow a link. Over time now, I'll post a link and it will get 400. And I have 4 or 5 times as many followers.
Yeah.
And I hear this from a lot of people over time. Does that mean that people are following more people so they go by? Does it mean they're clicking less? Does it mean that Twitter is not getting the tweets out to people's timeline, which is what I suspect?
I think it's the following. I think as Twitter's grown, the number of registered users who use the site every month has declined. If you look at ComScore, I think in June this year, ComScore reported globally Twitter had about 100 million users, and Twitter reports about 250 million registered users. So say 40, 50% of users actually use the site on a regular basis in a month. So
no more than 40% use it.
Yeah, and so then you cut that down and go, how many of them use it in a given day, which is really at best the lifespan of your tweet, and it starts to get to a really small number.
Right, so
quickly.
If I have 100,000, 40,000 are using the service, 60,000 are gone. So now my base of 40,000, maybe half are around that day, a third?
Yeah, generally in social media, half of the users will do 90% of the activity. That's what we saw in MySpace. I mean, 10% of the users will do half of the activity. So there's a real kind of usage
The hyperactive, clicky people who are the Sean Percivals of the world, who are just addicted to the service.
And I think
Robert Scobles,
and I think when you started on Twitter, Twitter's population was predominantly those early adopters, which is why you got a higher click-through rate. But in aggregate, I think the amount of traffic that people are seeing from Twitter is still going up because the service keeps getting more popular.
Is Twitter going to get its ass kicked by Facebook and Google Plus now? Is it becoming less important, the Twitter ecosystem?
I think it's too early to tell if Google is going to replace Twitter. I mean, I'm getting lots of email alerts saying somebody added you on Google Plus, but nothing's compelling me to go and spend time on Google Plus.
Really?
And so I haven't really spent any time there. I do spend a lot of time on Twitter.
You're the CEO of Adley and you haven't spent a lot of time on Google Plus, really?
Nothing's compelling me. Nothing's compelling me to go there yet.
Really?
I'm generally a late adopter of new technologies.
Got it.
And as somebody who likes to think about monetization, I like to see a crowd there before. I like to see a line of people before I think I'm building a business.
But I mean, you do have people already getting a large number of folks. I mean, I have 27,000 people there, and some people have over 100,000 now in the top 100. It's becoming meaningful.
There's no doubt. I mean, I'm keeping a close eye on the numbers, but just from my own standpoint, I haven't been compelled to use
I'm getting an equal number of click-through. I'm getting equal amount of click-through from 25,000, 27,000 Google Plus people as I am from 100.
It's probably the same 25,000 that used to follow you on Twitter in the early days.
Yes, but I'm still getting the same amount on Twitter. So if I put the links to both places, I still get the same amount. I just get them. So it's kind of weird. I wonder if so have the celebrities have started going to Google Plus, I see. Have they started saying to you, can I sell my Google Plus?
It's too early to say.
Too early to say.
Yeah, there definitely are celebs on Google Plus, but not nearly as many as there are on Twitter. And in fact, even Facebook doesn't have as many as there are on Twitter. Twitter is really a celebrity news website more than anything else.
Right.
And
why doesn't Twitter pay? I mean, I've sort of postulates that the social network that will kill Twitter is one that pays celebrities for their participation. And Ashton Kutcher was angling to own part of Twitter early on. And he may have bought shares in the aftermarket since, and he's become sort of a venture capitalist now, angel investor, and he owns a lot of equity in products he uses. Why doesn't a social network that why don't any of the social networks pay inherently the celebrities?
Well, I think there's a reason why they don't today, and there's a reason why they will inevitably. So the reason they don't today is that it's fundamentally against their DNA. These are predominantly engineering-driven cultures,
right.
Where the belief is that technology and tools will attract users and attract advertisers.
Yeah.
And if you think about the people who work at Twitter used to work at Google, and the people who work at Facebook used to work at Google, and it's the same people.
They just don't get it. They don't get the value of the celebrities,
I think,
or they're starting to.
They certainly get how to build a popular platform. You can't deny that. But I think if you look at television, television is a network system that pays for content.
Right.
And if you look at the content, it's predominantly celebrities, especially during prime time, which is the most valuable content out there. Right. And celebrities, be they athletes, be they actors, be they talk show hosts, traditionally get the lion's share of the profits from television shows and from sports. So, and if you look at the CPMs that content gets on television, it's multiple orders of magnitude higher than social media.
Right.
Facebook, you can buy ads at 60-cent CPM. And television, you might be paying $30, $40 for prime time. So I think the question that's being asked right now, something like Facebook, 700 million users, 50-cent CPMs, maybe $3 billion in revenue, how's that going to be a $30 billion company? There's not 7 billion users. They can't get 10 times as many users, right? They're going to have to increase the ARPU, the revenue per user. Right. And the only way they can do that is through premium content. Right. And I just don't think that premium content is going to show up for free. Inevitably, they're going to have to pay for it. And I think, of all of the Silicon Valley companies, Google is the one who's probably most likely to do that. They have a history of paying for content. They paid for search. They paid for blogs. Yep. I mean, with web blogs, you found that, right? They pay. Yeah,
they share revenue. They understand the concept of sharing.
Yeah, they pay.
They understand the concept of an ecosystem.
And they pay for video, right? Through the Partners program. So there's no reason to say they wouldn't pay for compelling social media content from high-profile content creators.
Hey, speaking of commercials, when we get back from the break, I want you to comment on your service being banned from Facebook, controversial issue number 1. Number 2, the rumors that you're going to be bought by Google or Twitter, number 2. And number 3, the rumors that your valuation is now $100 million. I made that last part up. But I think it's probably around that area. Let me tell you about something very, very important. If you are an entrepreneur, you have to take business seriously. There's 3 guys at the table right here who take business very seriously, dead seriously. And we are scared of getting sued. You've been sued? You've been threatened to be sued? Mm-hmm. Have you been threatened to be sued in the last year?
Yep.
Of course, we all have. If you run any business at any scale, there's these, you know what I'm talking about. This is people who feel like, oh, you have some success in life, we're going to sue you. Mother effers. I can't take them. It's like they're running around looking for anybody who's successful, and then they try to sue you. That's why you need liability insurance. Professional liability insurance starts at just $22.50 a month, and you can buy it directly online at Hiscox. Go to hiscoxusa.com/smallbiz, smallbiz, B-I-Z, and check out their awesome web series called Leap Year, which has a bunch of amazing folks, including Gary Vee, who have been done cameos on it. I have not been asked to do a cameo, but I'm not bitter. Concerned, perhaps, that I'm not as important as Gary Vee.
You could take it to the meta irony level and sue Hiscox.
I will sue Hiscox. I'm going to sue Hiscox for not having me on Leap Year. No, but this is the craziness. Hey, what if a client alleges that the final system that you delivered to them lacks the functionality they wanted? What if somebody buys an ad and says, hey, I feel like there was some fraud in this? And hey, what if somebody some stupid celebrity then hired a bunch of interns to click on their ads, and there was some kind of fraud? I'm not saying that would ever happen, but these kind of crazy things happen when you run open platforms, when you run systems like this. People can sue for anything at any time. They don't need to be right. They just need to find some D-bag attorney who, you understand what I'm very upset about this issue.
No win, no fee.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, go to Hiscox and defend yourself from the inevitable lawsuits and legal letters that you're going to get as a successful entrepreneur. If success, then legal issues, divided by have insurance, you're all okay. That's the formula. That's something like that. Did you get insurance from Hiscox for Square? Yes, you did it.
Yeah.
Was it easy?
Very easy.
It took you how many minutes? You filled out, what, 3 or 4 forms?
3.
3 minutes you did it in?
3, 4 minutes.
You powered through the forms. It's a couple of pages of forms.
Easy.
But online, beep, 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 beep. How many employees, where are you based?
It's like ordering
Bang.
a sandwich at the deli online. It's like not a big deal.
So listen, if you order a sandwich, this is about the cost of a sandwich a week. So just get off your ass. You're hearing my voice. Go to hiscoxusa.com/smallbiz. Thank you, Hiscox. All right, let's talk about Facebook and how little they respect their partners and how selfish they are. I have been on Facebook for a year saying, I will not participate in your ecosystem because you don't share revenue. You take. They want me to put their content on there. I'm like, why would I put my content on there if you're not going to share revenue with me? Where is the revenue sharing in Facebook? Now, that is my concern. But you have an even bigger concern. Your service or any advertising is not allowed in people's feed. I am a celebrity on there. I have 5,000 people. I have 40,000 followers. Or I'm not really a celebrity, but I'm like a
web-lebrity.
A web-lebrity, which is also known as nothing. So as nothing, but as a web-lebrity, I'm not allowed to do that. And these real celebrities who have big followings are not allowed to advertise in there. What is the story with Facebook?
Well, I think they're taking the identical approach that MySpace took. So MySpace grew as a result of celebrities bringing their fans. It was musicians in the beginning, and then it was actors.
Tilla Tequila.
Yeah, and I was there during while that was happening, and celebrities initially used it to promote their own products. And Facebook seems to be okay with that. I mean, they don't have sort of an approval or anything against it, nothing spoken, but they seem to let that happen. But where MySpace drew the line was celebrities promoting other people's products, which is, it's a $50 billion global celebrity endorsement industry that we're in today. So you can't kind of get in the way of $50 billion. And
wait, what do you mean by they can't get in the way of it? You mean it's just going on anyway?
It's happening. I mean,
I agree.
It's a huge industry, and wherever celebrities have audiences, is going to be where marketers want to be. I mean, celebrities cut through the noise. And no more so than in social media where there's a lot of noise.
Yeah.
And now in social, celebrities have distribution as well, and connect directly to their fans. So it's very appealing for marketers. MySpace several years ago said no, you can't do that. And at the time, celebrities felt a little bit kind of knocked back, but they said, well, okay, let's look for better tools. MySpace was kind of crappy tools.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's $10 fine, but...
No, crappy's okay.
Okay.
If you would like to pay the fine, say the S word.
I'd be happy to donate to charity, but the
charity being a keg of beer for the people who work really hard on the show.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm tempted to swear a lot now, but
yes.
No, it became a discussion about tools, and Ning came along, great tool set, but no traffic. Twitter came along, incredibly easy tool set. And so everyone said, great, let's use Twitter. We're not going to make money, let's just use Twitter, it's easy. Facebook came along with Pages after Twitter launched.
Yeah.
And we see about 5 to 10% of celebs also use Facebook, predominantly celebs with global presences like Cristiano Ronaldo, people like that, right? And so, the discussion was really about tools. I think now the discussion is about making money. And ironically, if you look at MySpace, which recently sold for $35 million, the company that bought MySpace plans to revive the business by paying celebrities for content.
What?
Yeah.
Exactly my business plan.
Absolutely. Because they look at publishers, they look at celebrities as publishers.
Right.
And
rightfully so.
Yeah, and we can pay them for their content.
Facebook basically has banned you from the ecosystem. Short-sighted, no?
I think there's a big opportunity there. It's definitely something that we reached out to them about, helping them get their arms around. It happens outside of us. Agents will
What was their response?
It seemed to be a religious issue for them. In the tone of the communications, there was not really a great deal of reason that you would expect from people who would come out of Google. When you argue with Google, they roll out sort of data points, and at the end
it's going to be an intellectual argument.
You're like, oh, well, you're smart, you're right, I agree with your point. With Facebook, it was a very emotional reaction that they had.
It's our wall, it's our ecosystem.
And it seemed to come from the very top of Facebook, because the people that we were dealing with, were very emotional, and obviously that their boss was being emotional too about it. So,
well, they believe no ads in the feed. I mean, Zuckerberg, famously in the movies like advertising sucks, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. The irony is, though, if you install an app that has paid Facebook for advertising, that app, puts a post in the feed.
And only if you pay, Facebook does it go on the wall. So Facebook is highly hypocritical, is what you're saying.
Well, I think what I'm saying is it's inevitable that advertising will make its way into the news feed, because that's where...
But it already is. That's the hypocritical part, isn't it? If you pay to promote your brand through the proper channel on Facebook, they will surface it in, that's what the story advertising unit is. So Facebook is just greedy.
I think that Facebook has every right to say what you can and can't do on Facebook, just as Google has every right to say what you can and not do on Google, and so does Twitter. I think what's interesting is that whereas MySpace in the old days, the first version, made the same mistake that Facebook's made now, Twitter learned from that and said, we're going to take a laissez-faire approach here. You can do what you like. Jason, you can do sponsored tweets if you want. You can do Adly. You can promote whatever you like. We're not going to control it. It's your tweets. You own it. But we're not going to be proactive. We're not going to bring you deal flow and actually compensate you. I think the next social network that becomes big is going to take that proactive approach. They're going to come to people like you and Scoble and all these guys and say, hey, we have deals for you because we want you to bring your fans to our network.
And you know what I'll do? I'll move.
Of course you would. Who wouldn't?
Why wouldn't you do that? When are you going to do that? Can you look here at me in a straight face and say that you have not considered launching your own social network?
We've certainly considered it.
Well, what has the board said? When you discuss it, Mark Suster is an investor, he's on the board, yes?
Yeah.
He's a great VC.
It certainly makes a lot of sense.
Has he pushed you hard to make a social network?
Not so much a social network as more of a consumer destination, one in which you own your own distribution. I think Fred Wilson had a famous quote that's probably not fit for the job. But
no, it is. Don't be your own bitch, is what he said.
Yeah, and I think...
And his point is in that piece?
His point is, don't rely on Facebook, Twitter, Google. Don't rely on other people for distribution. Build your own distribution. And so that's definitely a direction that we're taking the company in. And also... So
they can still use their other social networks, but the URLs they put in might pass through a certain destination site.
Yeah, what we've seen in the... we did 25,000 endorsements in the last 18 months, 25,000 paid tweets. And so what we found was to show ROI to marketers, you need to sort of have a coherent end-to-end experience from the tweet through to the conversion funnel. And that doesn't exist today online. Most marketers have, there's a wide variety of landing pages, and all of them are a very disjoint experience from surfing on Twitter. And so what we've been thinking about is how do you create that post-click experience in order to demonstrate results.
Basically, analytics.
Yeah,
and you have a product that you release in the space.
And yeah, exactly. So we have an analytics product that we just rolled out for celebrities.
Tyler, did you have a question though? You're about to jump out of your seat.
Well, it feels like opening a donut shop at a police station.
Insight from Tyler.
They've got all the cops. They just need to open the donut shop.
Wait a second.
I'm completely lost.
You're not the only one. There's going to be 100,000 people lost after this gets downloaded. It's like opening a donut shop at a police station. What you're saying is it would be like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah.
It's obvious.
Not necessarily obvious.
It's a layup.
In a way, it's more like just bringing the donuts to the shop.
Why have them drive to the donut shop? Why
Right.
not have the donut shop there?
You've got all the police.
Well, this has been an amazing episode of This Week in Startups. That about sums it up. No, seriously, you're absolutely right. It is like, yes. Show us the once again, it's just too much. I'm just glad that you did not bring up anything related
I didn't.
to any kind of contraception or Planned Parenthood. Show us the analytics program that you launched, please. I'm
Sure.
very fascinated to see this.
So a couple of weeks ago, we launched a new analytics package for power users on Twitter, like you.
Okay. Well,
And-
thank you, that's a big compliment. Hey, let's full screen his screen, please. It'll be easier to see. We don't need to see him. He's a good-looking man, but okay, yeah. Okay, so now how do I get to this, or I can't?
So if you go to adly.com
Okay.
and click on analytics
Got it.
and just fill out the form, somebody will
Oh,
hook
okay.
you up.
I like
It's
it.
not fully self-serve yet, but
Okay.
it's really just
Is
for...
2025 his account number?
Yeah, or maybe it's his retirement age, I'm not sure.
No, it probably is.
No, yeah, that's
Probably, yeah.
I'm one of the first users.
He was on Adly pretty early.
I
So
signed up the first day.
what this platform does, Adly Analytics, is it tells you a lot about your audience and helps you be more effective at using Twitter. So for a start, you can see who your audience also follows, which is a very good indicator of what else they're interested in. So I don't know if we can see this on the screen.
Pull up the screen, guys. Let's see. Okay, yeah, we see it.
And then
Sure.
like this.
Oh, there you go.
Nope.
Okay, so you clicked on your fans also follow TechCrunch, Kevin Rose, Mashable, Scobalizer, Ev Williams, Barack Obama. Everybody follows Barack Obama. Leo Laporte, Tim O'Reilly,
These
Liz
are-
Stone, Bill Gates,
Yeah.
Google, Twitter, Guy Kawasaki. Yes.
These are your fans, actually.
So
This
my
is-
fans,
So
those are
fi-
what they follow.
So how do I do that Zoom thing again?
Wow. You just hold the command
go,
key
like
and
that?
you zoom in. There you go. So
So-
48% of my users
Also follow TechCrunch.
Amazing. Yeah, it makes total sense.
And then how do I... Oh, there we
Zoom
go.
back out. There you go. Boom.
Oh.
That easier.
And so as a power user on Twitter, you get a good sense of what your...
23% of Scobalizers and ours overlap. Wow.
Yeah,
no,
it's
39% overlap.
40% of your fans also follow Scoble. Sorry,
Amazing.
yeah, also follow Scoble.
Interesting.
So, and then as you go down here, you start to see some brands. You see 25% of your fans follow New York Times, The Onion, Wired Magazine.
So now we're talking.
Yeah.
Those are the people.
Sponsors, baby.
Those are the people who, yes, TweetDeck. They
Wall
could,
Street Journal, Time,
Yes, yes.
Woot, Fast Company,
So if Woot
Whole Foods.
and Starbucks, wow.
I feel a nutritious
Now,
sponsorship.
how do you know what the average is? Is that the average there, 13%? So I'm plus X%, is that it?
It's just showing you the absolute count.
So how much different am I than, like, if I have 13% of my followers follow Whole Foods, is the average Whole Foods 7% penetration on Twitter? That would be the interesting statistic to know how I...
It depends how many followers you have. So one of the things we're adding here is benchmarks. So
yeah,
you
it'd be
can
good to see the
compare
benchmark.
yourself.
Am I plus
Yeah, yeah.
10%, plus 20%
Yeah.
of the average? Well, that's amazing.
Other thing you can see is top followers. I don't know if we can go back to the
Oh,
screen.
yeah, let's go back. Yeah.
You can see the people who follow you. So
Of course, Barack, Brittany, yes.
you know, you got Stephen
Ashton.
Fry. I think what's interesting here is to look at the people who don't follow a lot of people.
Yes.
So Ashton,
So Ashton follows me, but not a lot of
Demi,
people. Demi
YouTube follows you.
200, yeah. Wow, YouTube follows me, and they only follow 270 people.
Yeah, TechCrunch, Veronica Belmont.
Yeah, so that's...
Ustream loves
This
you.
would be what you would say is a compliment.
Yeah,
It's a compliment that Starbucks follows me.
yeah. And you see all of these. Then we can also show you how your followers have grown over time,
Yes.
going back about a year and change.
Beautiful.
So you've added 50% in just over a year. It's pretty impressive. You can see the gender breakdown.
Yep.
So, and we can see how you compare to the Twitter average. So you have 1.38 times the Twitter average.
I got a lot of
from
men.
there. Yeah.
I'm a manly man.
And then you
That's
can
why.
see by city.
Look
same
at that.
thing.
LA, I'm very loved in LA,
You
San
can-
Francisco, New York. Yeah.
You can see you're actually extremely loved in Vegas for some reason.
Of course I am.
Poker.
Yo, when I come to Vegas, it's a party.
Yeah.
Yo,
State.
everybody loves when I'm in Vegas.
And then country is always kind of interesting. So Indonesia loves you.
Of course they do. Of course they do.
India.
South Africa, I'm very
Yeah.
big in South Africa.
So
Everybody knows that.
this is available. Anyone sort of over 10,000 followers is going to get use out of this on Twitter, and it's free.
Now, Your company and Klout seem on either a collision course or a merger. What do you think of Klout?
I think Klout's done a really good job of creating a score and giving you a reason to stay interested in Twitter. I kind of affectionately call Klout crack for Twitter, because if you stop tweeting, your Klout score goes down.
Oh yes.
And you know, it gives you
I shorted Tyler and I made a fortune.
You saw my tweet?
No.
We were just talking right before the show. Like, my Klout score is perfectly in sync with the stock market. It's pretty funny. Yeah.
Absolutely, steep decline. Keep going.
So you know, I think that serves a need, and it certainly helps keep power users interested in Twitter, and you know, it's something to compete on other than followers. And it's always good to have those kind of game mechanics.
But they're starting to go to advertisers and saying, Adley only has the raw follower count. We actually have the true influencers, the people who get retweeted. Forget about the people who are on the suggested user list. Those are fugazi numbers, and we all know that. This is true value. Hey, these people are the ones who have retweeting and all this kind of stuff, and mentions and amplification probability. How do you compete against that with marketers? Are marketers starting to say, why don't you have those?
No, in a word. I think that, you know, it's very common in our business, digital marketing, for technology to get ahead of what marketers actually want. Marketers are literally just coming to terms with the fact that social media exists and, and that Twitter exists. And Twitter has yet to really prove...
5 years later.
Yeah, Twitter's ad business is a year old at best, and they're still trying to prove that it works, you know, just buying a link on their homepage. So I think, you know, we always make this mistake. We've been doing it for the last 12 years, where the technology gets 2 or 3 years ahead of what marketers want. But I think it's useful to be able to go into the long tail occasionally. The challenge is always the scale that you get. And I think what you end up with is a good story as a marketer. You know, most marketers in digital look at it as a way to impress their boss that they did something cool in digital. And so saying, I found, you know, some people who are influential about cabbage, I think is you know, it's a nice story to say that you did that. How much scale you really got, and how you able to
I mean, that is the
activate.
problem. You know, the more you slice and dice the onion, the less satisfying the meal. People need a steak. You guys provide a big steak.
Yeah.
What's the largest number of celebrities who have participated in one campaign? And which campaign was that?
We did a campaign for one of the major daily deal sites.
A Groupon or Living Social.
And I think we had about 74 people on that campaign.
Wow. And they each got $5 per user. Was it an acquisition?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that those guys were paying $4 or $5 a user last year. So what would the person who got the, well, you can't say who got the largest probably, but what was the largest number of signups somebody got? A couple of hundred?
They didn't share with us signups per celeb. Would have been interesting.
Yes.
I mean, love to get data like that whenever we can.
But you just got that large sum of money back and distributed it equally across the thing.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
How do you split money? Because this was my little pet peeve in the beginning, was when I signed up, I told you, well, why can't I set my rate, and what is the split? And you're like, well, we buy a package of people, and we'll give you, how much do you want? And I was like, it's not transparent enough for me.
Yeah.
I turned out to be wrong. Nobody seemed to care.
Yeah.
I'm the only idiot who cared, and I probably left a lot of money on the table. But why can't I set how much I want, and what is the split?
So we don't disclose what the split is. And
ballpark? Can you say ballpark what it is?
It's ballpark. It's very similar to how an ad network would work.
So 60-40, 55-45.
I mean, it's reasonable, and it's enough to, you know, we have a business to run. We have engineers, we have salespeople, et cetera, et cetera.
I mean, you can't do it for less than 60-40 in my mind, and YouTube is 55-45.
Yeah, and if you think about Google with AdSense, you know, it
68%.
took them a long time to get there, though.
Yeah.
You know, in the beginning, when they launched, you know, they would give certain high-profile people 100% rev share.
That's what they gave me.
Yeah.
From what I heard through the grapevine, I was getting 110%.
Yeah. And
I don't know if that's true, but this is early days. I heard that they
true.
goosed because I was such a vocal supporter, they goosed me.
Well, when I launched the Yahoo Publisher Network, which was a failed attempt to compete with AdSense,
I remember.
We would pay 110% rev share to key people just to have them get excited about it. I mean, because in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot of money.
No, it's an investment.
Yeah. And you make your margin up on the sort of, I mean, with AdSense, they made it up on all the domain sites, so they get 30-40% in the beginning, and some of the less demanding bloggers would get 30%, and because it didn't really care. It's I think I always equate like how much money does somebody make with how much work do they have to do to make that money. And one of the unique things about Adly is you don't have to do anything as a celebrity except be famous and have a lot of followers that are engaged. You really focus on your content, and then you just get an opportunity to make money. Yes or no. We send it out, we write it,
It's very low friction and simple.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go through a couple of quick questions from the audience. Executive Producer Greg says, do you do anything to verify the authenticity of celebs' Twitter followers, i.e. the report that Newt Gingrich's followers are fake?
I haven't seen that report. I mean, do you mean figuring out whether somebody's followers are real or not?
Yeah, that's sort of what he's asking.
I mean,
do you verify that, or do you just say, hey, there's going to be a certain amount of click-through and people buy based on that?
Yeah, look, it's
a marketplace, right?
We look at historical results and we say, this person tends to generate this many clicks, therefore there should be a market price, and as long as they keep generating that many clicks, then that price is going to stay there and go down. Yeah.
Okay. What metrics of success are you waiting for Google Plus to reach before you start using their platform? Great question.
I'd like to see 30 or 40% of our network adopt Google Plus, because then we think it could be interesting for marketers.
It's low single digits right now, probably.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably like 10 at most.
From Executive Producer Fuentes, what makes Adly a defensible business? The classic entrepreneurial question that you hear from VCs who have nothing better to do every day. And what is Adly's competitive advantage? A good question, yes.
Yeah, so I think we were first to market in a space that everyone was trying to get to grips with, and certainly.
By that you mean you believed when others doubted.
Yeah, I think.
Is that the key to being a good entrepreneur?
Somebody asked me in preparing for the show, have I ever started a company before? And I think honestly, I'm not the type of person that starts something. I'm the type of person that sees something that's already there and sees great potential. And that's certainly
what I saw. You're a finisher.
Well, I think I'm a grower. I think there are three types of people in life. There's starters, growers, and then at some point you get the ex-McKinsey consultant in to really run the business. And I think that I love seeing potential and growing it and applying metrics to that and making that happen.
This is from Executive Producer Jeff, another great classic entrepreneurial question. What keeps you up at night?
You're always thinking about who are your what do your marketers really want? What's going to keep them coming back? And I always come back to showing them ROI. You can show them insights, you can show them charts, you can show them graphs and tell a great story. But if you can actually move product, I think customers are going to come back to you time and time again, just like they did with search, like they've done with direct mail. And so keeping me up at night is constantly figuring out how to accomplish that.
Are the celebrities looking to you guys, is my question, in a way as representation for them in the digital space, i.e. they are getting opportunities from you to tweet stuff, but then somebody like Kim Kardashian might be asked, hey, tweet 5 times about Shoe Dazzle, but at some point the Shoe Dazzle people say, hey, we want her to be the face of the brand. Have you thought about setting up long-term, equity-based relationships now that the market's starting to realize, hey, there is some value to celebrities? Previously, there was no value to the celebrities. Shaq, Michael Jordan, Whoopi Goldberg in the Web 1.0 all tried to help different brands, and it didn't work. Dunk.net, Flues. Now, because they actually have a following and drive traffic, it does work. Have you thought about negotiating equity for them and actually matching, hey, Mahalo is doing education, let's get this person who we have to do an iPad app with Mahalo and split 3 ways?
So our view on celebrity is that endorsement should be a transactional business, not a long-term commitment. We think the biggest problem with the endorsement business, and certainly if you talk to marketers, is that it costs a lot of money to do an endorsement deal. If you're these companies like Shoe Dazzle and Beachmint, you're giving out guarantees in some cases in the mid 6 figures. locking up celebrities for a long time. If you do a television endorsement with a celebrity, you might pay out 7 figures to lock them up, and then you've got the cost of media on top of that.
Right, you got to buy it.
And it, overarching all of that is what's going to happen to celebrity during that period of time.
Right, are they going to get a DUI?
Celebrities,
hopefully. Are they going to get arrested, incarcerated? Hopefully.
Well, it depends on your brand. I mean, celebs are like stocks; they can go up or down, and they can yield dividends, or they can, they can break your bank. So, I think that as a company, we take a very transactional view. We can't look at a lot. We take a lot of guidance from what AdSense did. AdSense is like the ultimate hedge fund in advertising. They don't really care. Google doesn't care which sites are popular today. They just know that because their tags are everywhere, if this site's popular, they're going to make money. If this site's popular, they're going to make money. And they make money by taking the friction out of that process.
Yes. And you've made it friction-free.
Relatively so. Like to make it more so, but absolutely more if we can.
It's a no-brainer for Google to buy the company. Reports are that you've been approached by Twitter and Google. Under what circumstance would you sell the company?
Well, I think like any entrepreneurial team, when you invest so much time into a vision, you look at acquisitions as, is this a way to kind of grow my company faster, and how can my business grow faster as part of a larger company? There's no doubt that current Adly business is a very good fit for a number of companies.
I mean, Twitter desperately needs revenue. You must have 10 million in revenue at this point. It's a no-brainer for them to buy you guys and then just become the official selling arm. If they must have made that offer, why didn't you take it?
Well, I think the issue that is in the marketplace is kind of what we talked about earlier, where you have Silicon Valley companies still coming to grips with whether they should pay for content or not. And I think there's various stages of paying for content. There's buying content, putting over there and putting an ad next to it, versus product placement, which is you guys have clearly solved that problem already with your show, and television solved that problem a long time ago. 2/3 of television shows have products placed.
Why are these geeks up there so resistant? Is it because they don't want to get labeled a content company? They just want to be called a platform company, even though it's the same effing thing?
Well, I think the multiples...
It is the same effing thing.
It is. The multiples on...
Say it.
It's the same effing thing.
Thank you.
The multiples on media companies are not the multiples on
and that's the issue,
companies.
isn't it? People want to say, I'm a platform, I don't make it. But the truth is, YouTube did the CNN debates.
Yeah.
YouTube is reportedly paying for content or advancing or something. They're
Social
doing.
networks are like daytime television on an obscure cable channel. Very, very low cost content and very, very low ad yields, right? And I think if social networks want to become the prime time of media, they're going to need premium content. And I'm not the only person saying this. I saw an interview with Ari Emanuel and Jeff Weiner and Kara Swisher the other day, where Ari Emanuel said, look, at some point these social networks are going to need something better.
What does he think of what you're doing? Is he on your board, or is he an investor?
He's not on our board. I think
because he's very much an FYPM kind of guy.
Sorry, I'm lost.
F you pay me.
Okay. Yeah.
On behalf of his clients.
Yeah.
It's a famous line from a Scorsese film. Yeah.
He's an agent. I mean, you watch Entourage. Life is very much like Entourage in that business. And I think when you're running a VC-backed company, you're trying to build equity value, and you're trying to build a platform as much as you can. That's kind of the norm. Versus when you're running essentially a services business, an agency, that's a partnership. It's a very different set of incentives that you have as the owners of that company. But there's no doubt that he's looking for solutions for his clients to monetize their social media presences. I mean, everyone is. And I think the next social network that wants to be big, it's just what you said. They're going to have to pay for content. They're probably going to have to go through him, maybe go through us, maybe go through any of the other talent agencies or the management companies, but they are going to have to pay.
That's another possible exit for you guys, which is you become part of CAA or William Morris, ICM, whatever his endeavor.
A number of people have brought that up.
Have the agencies reached out to you for an acquisition?
Agencies won't ever do acquisitions. Here's why. At the end of the year, the partners sit down, there's $50 million profit. They say, do I want a bigger house and a bigger boat and a bigger car, or do I want to buy a company? And the former always wins. And that's because in Hollywood, as a community and the entertainment business, 95% of people will take the short money every time.
Right.
And we live in a very transactional town. Even our startups.
Which is how you design the service, which is why it's thriving.
Mm-hmm.
Have you broken 10 million in revenue?
Can't disclose that yet.
But it is getting close.
It's a good business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I in the ballpark? I mean, it's only a 3-year-old business.
Not even. No, it's not even 2 years old.
I mean, it's pretty amazing if you're breaking $500,000, $1 million a month right now. That is pretty extraordinary, and that's what I've heard, that the business is somewhere in the 10 million range.
It's a good business.
How many
Just
people
leave it.
work at the business?
We're small. We're like 20 people.
That's it? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's very
For
efficient.
some reason, I envisioned like 100 people.
I know everyone thinks we're a huge company because we've had a ton of press. I think
Disproportionate amount of press. Yeah.
I think the reason we've had so much press is just because we're clearly doing something that resonates.
It does. It does.
And yeah, it's controversial. And I think just like
It is and it isn't. You know, it's like it is, but
it's controversial because people pull that face. They're like, not sure, not sure.
it is depending on where you place Adly on the spectrum of what exists in the real world.
Yeah.
If you place it as this is an creative artist agency, which is brokering endorsement deals, it's like, well, who cares? It's a very boring business. If you put it over here and say, they're taking the social fabric of society and they're injecting ads into normal conversations, it's terrifying. And the truth is, with disclosure
Yeah.
and with good people doing good work, it doesn't feel bad at all. The problem, I think, with pay-per-post, and that's the reason we wrote Calacanis Cast on TED. Your company's not public anymore. It's not public like Izea, is it? I mean, Izea is a bit of a joke. You guys laugh at them in the office, yes? Do you even know what Izea is?
Yeah.
Ted Murphy?
They did paper post, yeah.
Yeah. It's basically like they were paying people for posts and then not. We have to find that image or video of him with Calacanis Cast written on his head. It was so great. It was back when it was just for background, there was a precursor to This Week in Startups, which was called Calacanis Cast. I hired Tyler in 2007 to hold the microphone for me while I did it. And we had Ted Murphy on, and I had him on, and I said, like, he had written, he had this woman write paper post on her head for $100. It was like a mom. It was so demeaning. And I was just thought it was so.
It was Hewlett Packard. She had a big HP on her.
Yeah, and I was like, what is going on? Like, would you ever consider doing something demeaning like that to a person?
Here, I got it.
Oh, you do? Okay, pull up Tyler's computer for a second. Let's see Ted Murphy on paper post. There he is. Zoom in on that, Tyler. It's so awesome. So I said to Ted Murphy, who you have to admit is a good sport and a bit of a maniac, I said to him, I said, you didn't think that's demeaning? I said, no. I said, all right, I'll give you $500 right now if I can write Calacanis Cast on your forehead. And he said, of course. And I said, okay, I'll give it. He said 1,000. I said, I'll give you I'll give you 1,000 if you give it to that woman who you wrote. And she said, I'll do it. I said, great. I put $1,000 on the table, and he became the face of. That was our iTunes logo for a while. Was Ted Murphy, but he just went public in a reversed merger.
Yes.
Which basically means you're not really public anyway.
Right.
You're a pink sheet.
It's a back door.
Hey, let's do an Ask Jason, and then we'll get that out of the way. You know what that is, right?
No.
Somebody asked us a question.
Okay, cool.
Yes, Ask Jason is back. On the phone, we have Paul Peters. I think he is. Paul, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How are you doing?
Associate producer Paul.
Hi.
You're calling from Cairo, Egypt, of all places.
Yep.
You have a question for us. Let's hear it.
Okay, Jason. So I oversee the development of a website called youfollow.com, and it helps users keep track of their favorite bloggers and columnists online. So the problem that we've got is that the site is built as a 15 to 20 person team within a larger organization. And so we haven't been able to take on any external investment, and we don't have any external advisors. So we don't actually need any external funding, but we feel we're missing out on some of the other benefits that VCs and angels can bring to the table. So we were wondering, what do you think we could do in order to get influential people in the tech scene engaged in the success of the company and help us promote it and develop it?
Yeah, this is a typical issue of big companies lack, that je ne sais quoi, that
Chutzpah.
the chutzpah, good one, that an individual company like Adley or Mahalo or This Weekend will have. That's sort of like, hey, we're going to take on the world. I was just looking today, America Online, AOL, my alumni, I'm an alumni of, my alma mater, is down 28%, but they're releasing kick-ass products. They release this great like Flipboard kind of app called AOL Editions. They released that, Jason Schellen released that awesome AIM HD chat, like great product, and they own the Huffington Post, they own TechCrunch, they own a lot of really great assets, and they're down, and they keep releasing better and better assets, better and better products. But they can't get appreciated because it's a big, dumb company. Everybody puts it under the umbrella of big, dumb company. The only thing you can really do is spin it out as a wholly owned subsidiary and create an equity pool. So that's what I would suggest you talk to management about is, hey, let's spin this out, make it an LLC, give the team 20, 30% of it, and let there be some cross-billing going on where they have some equity and some stake in it. And I'm actually going through a similar issue right now. I created a little website because I had a little inspiration called Ask for a Deal inside of Mahalo, and I've actually been thinking about, hey, maybe we spin this out, maybe we get Mark Suster or some local VC here to help grow it and get that energy behind it, because Mahalo is so busy with its 40 million people watching videos and doing stuff that it's never going to be the number one thing here. What do you think?
Well, I think having built a business inside a big company in my last job at Fox, there's challenges and there's opportunities. So the challenge is always cutting through the red tape. The opportunities really come in the form of unlimited funding for the most part relative to what you need to do. And I think you need to have an entrepreneur spirit. You need to have a you need to have chutzpah, you need to have a can-do attitude. And you need to be very, very focused and saying, well, what is my metric of success? Is it page views? Is it uniques? Is it a certain number of users?
Revenue.
And just be focused on reaching those goals.
Is that what you did inside of MySpace, is create like this little ecosystem of metrics?
Yeah, so I was hired at MySpace to figure out how to build an ad platform, and I went in with 3 ideas. I said, you've got all this data, let's build a targeting platform. If we can do that, let's get more advertisers through a self-service platform, and if we can do that, maybe we can have an ad network across all of social media. And stayed very focused on those 3 things, and that's essentially what we executed on. I think had I been outside of News Corp, maybe I would have done it faster, but certainly what we accomplished there, I think everyone was surprised at what we were able to do inside of a big company, especially a media company. I mean, it's not even a tech company,
Sometimes having a separate space also helps. Sometimes having a separate P&L, profit and loss statement, can help. Separate targets, little things like that. What do you think, Tyler? Any thoughts?
Well, your main issue is you wanted to get some of the mind share of some investors and advisors, right?
Advisors, you said,
Yeah, exactly.
How to, I mean, you don't.
Yeah, like as an advisor, if they asked me to become, if AOL asked me to become an advisor to their, Editions AOL app, I would be like, what? Why would I become an advisor to that? It's like, I'm an advisor to one of your product lines? It doesn't make any sense. They don't need an advisor because the advisor is supposed to help them navigate building the business. I mean, they could make me an ambassador for the products, but then I'd be like, well, write me a check, and I have to love the product and write me a check. And so I think it's kind of a hard thing to do.
What's the audience that you're trying to reach?
Who's the audience you're trying to reach?
So it's basically people reading a lot of blogs and article-length content online, so a very broad kind of audience.
So I think the first thing I'd do is pick a niche within that niche and ask yourself who are the most influential people that reach that niche, and then go out and contact them and talk to them, because worst case, you're going to learn what they think of your product and it's going to make your product better. Best case, they might actually start using it and start driving traffic to it, and then you can take that formula and apply it to the next niche within your niche.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. So if what he's saying is, if let's say it's long form, if you follow political or politics and you released an iPad app that was like Flipboard but only for long form content and only featured politics, and you said, like you have on your page here, default, you have a bunch of default users, but it's a bunch of default users across a disparate group of topics, but focus it in on a topic, and hey, now you may create some critical mass. Always a good idea to start with a tiny vertical, conquer it, and then add the next.
Because you're also going to show a win to your boss inside the big company.
Yeah.
And that's going to unlock more funding. And if you say, look, I need $50,000 to go and hit this next niche, but I just, crushed the last one, those $50,000 are going to come in a jiffy.
Yeah, I think you have something here, because I will say that long form is getting lost in the ecosystem, long form content, and I would very much like to see somebody curate that and say, here are the 10 long form things that are most important this week.
Don't you think LinkedIn does a pretty good job of that on LinkedIn today? Like, I'm
I
astonished
just saw LinkedIn today, and I was like, what is this?
You know what it is? It's what Twitter should be. It's all Twitter content. It's just
yes,
being
but
shared on Twitter.
here it is, LinkedIn today. Take a look. Has anybody written about this?
No, this is the engine of growth for their page views right now. It's got to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, here are all the stories.
It's phenomenal.
About Riot Girls brag about violence, and you can see who, I guess, in your stream, or who in the different streams tweeted it. So it's basically like Bitly links, but it is driving their...
all they've done is they've put a visual layer on top of the content that's being shared. I mean, it's pretty sort of easy stuff to do, and it's so effective.
How personalized is it based on your stream, though?
I don't think... No, it is. It is. There is some personalization.
You can personalize the categories, and supposedly, the algorithm looks at who your friends are and what they're sharing. But I think big picture, there's not that much content being shared, and
one of the key reasons that people use LinkedIn is to stay in contact with people, and if they are... Yeah,
if I know that you're reading this or whatever, that does give us something to pivot off of, some context. Yeah, and I thought the new interface to LinkedIn is just so weird to just have it be the tweet stream. I would much rather have it pivot around news and introductions, or people you might know. I just feel like LinkedIn's user interface is a complete mess right now. It could be so much better, but I guess they have this chicken and egg problem where it's so functional for a certain group of people that they can't change it for the masses. It's sort of what killed MySpace, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think...
core group of people love the terrible design.
LinkedIn's got terrific leadership, I think. That.
Oh, they do, certainly, yeah.
And, they're very focused, always has been. I mean, I used to work in Jeff Wiener's group at Yahoo, and he's...
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, he's
he's a winner.
Good leader, great focus.
Oh, we don't have him on the program because of... Oh, look at this. Here's my feed now. And look, they are putting LinkedIn Today right at the top. Mm-hmm. They're doing exactly what we just speculated they would do. Yeah. And look, this is genius. So now here's a reason to come back. Yeah. And then here is everybody on my stream. Yeah. And then if you want to understand insanity, look at this. I have 2,100 invitations and 707 messages.
How many connections do you have on LinkedIn?
Contacts.
Scroll down.
I think I just go to network statistics, right?
No, just go back to the homepage.
Oh, here we go. 4,900 plus 2,000 waiting, 7,000.
Is that
a lot or not?
I wonder at what point there'll be an Adly on LinkedIn.
An Adly on LinkedIn. Is it against their terms of service currently?
I don't know, but it's such a valuable audience, and most of the people on LinkedIn know each other. So it could be, and it's all business related.
I think I have to start using it, maybe start putting clips, or maybe post my stories here, because I would get a different group of people, maybe.
Yeah.
And I guess I should just say yes to all these people, but they don't have a global, this is one of the things that, this is like the Robert Scoble problem. They don't create tools for people who have large social footprints.
Yeah.
So I cannot sort through, like there's no one page I can go to. Take a look at my screen, guys. I can't look at one page with a list of all the people who want to add me. I have to keep clicking the more button. How many times can I click the more button and get 20 more people? It would take me 100 times to do that. Then I have to go up here and click. Well, I guess they do have select all, so that's kind of cool. I can accept a couple of hundred at a time, but boy, what a pain in the neck. I guess that's the problem when you...
Well, if you went every day, it wouldn't back up. That's what they're going to tell you.
Yeah, that's exactly what I have time to do. I mean, at some point, the social networks start taking over your life.
Well, at what point is there a tool set to manage social media for people like you? I think there's definitely a gap in the market there. It just hasn't been filled. No one knows how to make money out of it yet.
Well, see, this is where I think the opportunity is for you guys. If you made a destination that was money-driven, that managed all of my things. So if you said to me, give us the password to all your accounts, will have a social media optimizer accept everybody, you know, and thank people and auto tweet back to them. Because I tried to use Tweet Editor or something like that for a while, where I was reciprocally following people and and following people who mentioned @Jason in their tweets. Because it was just like people were so upset at me for not following them back. And
how much would you pay for something like that?
I would pay. Well, I have people here who log into some of my social media accounts to do certain things, like clear certain things out or tweet something. Like if I need to tweet like a breaking story from the launch newsletter, if I'm not around, if I was on vacation, they could tweet it for me. But $500 a month, $1,000 a month. I would pay $1,000 a month for a social media optimizer.
Yeah,
I pay 12 times a year.
Yeah,
as a big fish because it's so valuable to me. I mean. I launched the entire launch newsletter based upon my social media footprint, and it gets thousands of people a day out of the gate. Probably 4,000 or 5,000 people a day visit launch now because of my social media footprint. I mean, I can launch a new brand with it. So if I could optimize it and grow it 10% a month for $1,000, I would do it. That's why I originally started giving stuff away. I gave away 10 Android phones and got 10,000 users on Twitter. You know, like if you just give something away, you'll get thousands of users.
Sure.
Do people do a lot of contests through Adly or no?
Yeah, we did a lot for the movie studios, you know, giveaways with like a DVD launch, stuff like that. It's very effective. Yeah, look, everyone, people are on Twitter to find new stuff. They're in market for new. And it's a discovery engine.
What are people in market for on Facebook?
I think they're in market for friends and content, friends content.
Right.
I think there's a few users like maybe you that have thousands of friends on Facebook, but ultimately I think...
I don't really even look at my feed on Facebook.
People, I find... I used to have 500 friends on Facebook, and I just found the whole experience irrelevant. I culled it down to 250, and now I actually enjoy Facebook a lot more because it's people I know. It's people I...
Yeah, I may have to reboot and just unfollow everybody, but there's no button to do that.
Well, there's two criteria that you should go. It's number one, would you recognize this person if they walked in the room?
Right.
And number two, would you want to have a cup of coffee with them?
Yeah, that's one of the ones I've started using, which is, have I had dinner or coffee with the person?
Yeah.
Mine's even stricter. It's would I drive them to the airport?
I love that.
That's a good criteria.
Well, the thing for me is, you have to realize when you're a router in the system, if you don't follow people, if you don't accept it, they take it as a big insult. I mean, I had one person on LinkedIn who said, "Can you introduce me to Michael Dell's brother?" And I was, Adam Dell, he's a VC. Yeah. And I'm not good friends with Adam Dell. I mean, I'm better friends with him now, actually, than I was then, but I maybe had dinner with him once. And so we were connected on the early days of LinkedIn, and the person's like, I need an introduction to Adam Dell. And they sent an in-mail and this thing and that. And they sent 4 points of contact. And I said, I actually don't know him well enough to forward this on. And he said, well, then why did you add him on LinkedIn? And I said, well, because I had dinner with him. Well, he said, the guy's like, that's part of the social contract. If you add somebody, you have to be willing in LinkedIn to forward them. And I said, no, block. But people get irate about this stuff.
I think, I look at what Mark Zuster's done a very good job of funneling people to Twitter to follow him. On Facebook, he only has a small number of friends, relatively speaking. And you see the content he posts there, it's really content, it's family photos and stuff. And then Twitter's all business.
Yeah, he's bifurcated.
I mean, he's not as big as you on Twitter, but he's certainly done a good job.
Oh no, he's as influential as I am on Twitter.
But he's definitely done a really good job of sort of focusing everyone.
I don't think now that because in the number matters less and less. The engagement is what matters. I realize. And that's what you found as well.
Yeah. I mean, look, there was a TechCrunch story last week that Ashton Kutcher tweeted. Dave McClure and Ashton Kutcher both tweeted about some company they invested in, and they both actually drove sales of products. Dave McClure drove more sales than
Or was
Ashton.
it Kevin Rose?
Oh, Kevin Rose, sorry.
Rose, yeah.
Kevin Rose drove $4,000 of
Yeah,
sales.
Ashton did more traffic. People trusted Kevin more, I guess, reading into it, to buy the product.
Yeah.
So I could see that because I think Kevin has a more personal relationship with people, whereas Ashton is this sort of, star who people don't know is a human being.
Yeah, you need to optimize the landing page. Someone like Ashton, it's an arm's length relationship he has with his fans. In fact, it's like a
long arm.
A football field relationship. So,
but he's changing that. I mean, that's what celebrities. That's your advice to celebrities: is it to keep the arm's length, or is it to get close like Kevin Rose or Scoble or myself?
What's
the better model?
Well, the ones with the best engagement literally sit there during makeup, before their show, and they're replying as many people as possible.
Yes.
And So I'd say you want to get as close as possible,
Right.
because that's what's going to get the engagement up. There's a reason reality show stars do so well on Twitter. It's because they're on television every day, and athletes are on television every day. And you
Being
see
real,
them.
not
Yeah.
acting. They're saying their own words.
And there's a reason movie stars generally don't do well in social media.
Why does Tom Cruise have some PR person tweeting for him? Did he not get the memo that that is astroturfing? How does somebody come into Twitter in 2011 and astroturf? This
don't know.
is a message to Tom Cruise. Listen, pal. We've been to dinner countless times. We go running and ride motorcycles on Mulholland Drive every couple of months. We're pals, right? We spend a lot of time together. I'm telling you as your friend, astroturfing is a D-bag move. I'll see you on Sunday. End message to Tom Cruise.
Hashtag ad.
Hashtag ad, yes. All right, this has been an amazing program. You are an amazing entrepreneur. I love the fact that Adley is crushing it. I think you guys are in a very awesome, challenging position of having to decide between taking the easy money and becoming the advertising arm of one of these great social media companies, or jumping in and creating your own destination. I hope you choose the latter. It'd be much more interesting. Take a $25 million round, put $5 million in the founders' pockets, and then go for it and make a destination site that syndicates all my content to all the other social networks. Will you do that? Will you do the latter?
Now we will.
Oh, perfect. There you go. There you have it. But you are seriously considering doing a destination. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Would it have a different name than Adley?
Yeah, probably. Adley's more of a B2B kind of brand.
Yeah.
And
What do you think about the name 20.com?
do you own it?
You do. 20.com.
Is it for sale?
Quite possibly. It depends on if there's equity involved. Because I
Let's discuss offline.
like 20 means your location, you know, and it's short.
Yeah. It's a great domain name.
It's a pretty good domain name. All right, there we go. Doing deals. Thank you, Hiscox, because they are going to save your life quite literally. Quite literally. I'm going to use your accent a little bit there. What's the story with Piers Morgan?
Sorry?
Piers Morgan? What's the story with him?
In what way? His backstory?
Yeah, like, who is this guy?
Oh, so he was the youngest ever editor of a national newspaper in the UK. At 28, he was editor of News of the World for Rupert Murdoch, and then he switched allegiance and went to edit the Mirror, which is like the opposite end of the political spectrum, and did really well. Made that the number one.
Is he hated in England?
He's not loved. I mean, he's very outspoken. I mean, he's kind of like the Simon Cowell of journalism.
Got it.
And,
so he's intending to be controversial.
you should follow him on Twitter if you don't.
I think actually he's doing a pretty good job. I was watching
hilarious.
his interview style. And I watched some of his old stuff. He was terrible previously, but he's gotten pretty polished. He's a nice balance between Howard Stern and Charlie Rose.
There's a really good interview of him interviewing Simon Cowell on YouTube.
I'll check that out.
It's really funny.
Hey, Arnie, great job with Adley.
Thank you.
Great job, Hiscox. Great job, GoToMeeting. Great job, crew. We had a perfect show. I love it. Great job to all of my producers, executive producers, fans, super fans, broke-ass fans, all you guys. I mean, it's really the reason I do this every week, twice a week. Ugh, it's not a burden, but I mean, it's a lot of work. 120 of you have joined the TWiST Producers Program. I love you each individually. Everybody go join TWiST.co for as little as $2 a month, as high as $200 a month. And it cures cancer. It'll get you a model girlfriend, probably a date with Fabio. And if your mortgage is underwater, it'll fix that. If your stock portfolio is underwater, it'll fix that. It'll get you a job. What else will it do, Tyler?
It'll help the economy in general.
Yeah, it will save the American economy. Actually, for every one of you that joins, it's 0.1% less unemployment in the United States. So go to TWiST.co. Should I do a disclaimer that your results may vary?
Yes, I was about to.
Your results may vary. It may not cure your cancer or get you married to a supermodel. But
Fabio, definitely.
Fabio is a lock. We'll see you all next time. Everybody go visit ed.ly. And if you want a job and you are an amazing developer or salesperson, I'm guessing that you would hire them if they were kick-ass, and you could probably reach them at arnie@ad.ly. Is that right?
It's adley.com.
That's what I said. Oh, it's adley.com. Did I say ad.ly?
Yeah, we switched over to adley.com.
Oh, sorry about that.
The whole Libya
I
thing.
I have a really good memory, and I remember the old stuff.
Yeah.
So it's adley.com, adly.com. Right, the whole Libyan thing.
Yeah.
you can email jobs@adley.com, but that's the amateur move. What you want to do is, if you want to get a job for a company like this, you are going to go and you email Arnie at ARNIE at adley.com, and you say, I was watching the interview with Jason, and I really thought that what you said about this was super insightful, and I researched it at X and Y, and I would love to come visit you for 5 minutes for coffee because I think that I could really help grow your business. That's how you write an email to a CEO. Short, to the point, and that you're paying attention, and that you've done your research. Don't just send this goddamn cover letter with nothing on it, or write me 10 pages that invest in my business, and here's my whole life story. I don't care about your whole life story. I care that you're paying attention. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
You get those long emails, you're like, you can't even read them. Who has the time?
TLDR. TLDR. Too long didn't read.
TLDL. There you go. We got a new acronym, and we got an insight from Tyler, like opening a donut shop at Disneyland. A police station. Hey, you know what? We should name each episode. Like Leo does for TWiST. We should name each episode. This Week in Startups, like opening a donut shop at a police station. We'll rip off Leo Laporte again.
And Next Week in Startups brought by Dunkin' Donuts.
Yes.
See you next time.
Get a donut sponsor and you're quick.
Until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah, money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah, we ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. It's been a minute.
If you can hear me in the chat room, please rate the show on a scale of 1 to 10. Please rate Tyler's insight by saying insight : 1 to 10. Please rate the guest 1 to 10. And please rate the host 1 to 10.
9 to 10.
Or 9. If I could make an iPad,
Getting green like a roster with a lot of dread. Money's piling up like the
you know that guy?
Yeah.
From Entourage? Is that something you might be interested in? That's my new thing. Is that something that might interest you?
I want to get the Bob Saget from Entourage.
Taking all the video questions, making apps out of them, so we built this sort of framework.
Money is the root of all evil. But funny how it feeds my people. Yeah, we ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah, money is the root of all evil. But funny how it feeds my people. Yeah, we ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.